My name is Jaenicke. I'm a psychoanalyst, a training analyst, and a teacher at the Institute here in Berlin, Arbeitsgemeinschaft für Psychoanalyse und Psychotherapie. And I did my training in New York, then returned to Germany, and now I've been in private practice for 30 years here in Berlin. Cite Heinz Kohut, who spoke about the human beings in the 19th century. He gave the example of Michelangelo's Moses, the sculpture where he showed a very determined and angry person, but who was basically cohesive in himself and was dealing a lot with inner forces and inner conflict. Then Kohut said in the 20th century, a different kind of condition came into our practices, which were dealing more with fragmentation and the sense of enfeeblement. And there, once again, I thought that was quite helpful. He cited the artwork of the 20th century, Picasso, where the ear is where the nose is, Stravinsky, 12-tone music, jazz, all these fragmented kind of forms of art. And today, if I had to, I basically don't think that human beings have changed that much in their basic suffering and their basic conflicts that they're dealing with. But there are, of course, there's context, there's culture, which is also determinant for how people express themselves. But if I had to name one kind of concept today, I would call it, it's called pathological accommodation. It's a concept by Bernard Brancheft, or a perceptual accommodation, where a person attempts to live up to an image of perfection which was instilled basically by the parents. So the patient loses his own sense of authenticity and his identity and tries to become this, which he has then incorporated, this vision of himself, which is basically an alien vision. Now, how it meshes with our culture today is with this idea of self-optimization and perfection and an ignoring of pain and weakness, and with this accent on achievement. That kind of dovetails with this idea of having to fit yourself to this inner picture of perfection, which was instilled by the parents as a requirement of the parent to uphold the tie. And then, of course, it would be very interesting to think about what Heinz Kohut thought about the whole selfie culture, because Kohut, of course, introduced the idea of mirroring and how important that is in childhood, in infant research, the fit of the mother, which goes in nanoseconds. And now this kind of idea of doing a selfie, but the thing with a selfie is you're taking a picture of yourself, and then you're posting it into the world, and then you're getting likes or dislikes for it, but it's virtual. So the connection is missing. Individuality can only be born in context. Contemporary psychoanalysis considers itself to be an affect theory and not a drive theory. But if you put affect at the center of human motivation, then you immediately contextualize all psychic phenomena, because affect can only be lived in relationship. So that contextualizes also the psychoanalytic situation. How it works is on the bidirectional level of the encounter between therapist and patient, it's like any other relationship. I'm not saying that patient and analyst are equal, but how the mutual influence between them is just like it is with anybody, and the asymmetric level, that which the analyst picks out to treat, to talk about, depends on what happens on the mutual level. So it's very subjective, is what I'm saying. Cure is not something that I do to the patient, it's something that we find together. What we're trying for is change in a human being, and to change is a very difficult thing to do. So changing an experiential world is a very difficult task. And they can only do that through the prism, so to speak, of the relationship to us. How do they relate to us? How do they repeat past dangers that they felt? How do they repeat past, how does the pain of relating come out again? And how could they experience it differently? Now that will not happen in a half-hour session or in a 50-hour session once a week. For that, you have to really get into the relationship. Both people do. And both people have to basically, this is my premise, that to change someone, you have to change yourself. Why? Because if you're understanding somebody, you're already moving, decentering from your subjective way of looking at the other person. So that already means a change. Psychoanalysis always has been a resistive force, and it is now more than ever, because of this whole emphasis on functioning. So psychoanalysis is asking, what's it like to be a human being? Pain and weakness are very taboo in our society, and so is dying. But life is tragic in itself because we do die, and we are finite. So all these things are topics which are largely ignored. Being human is messy, it's weak, it's pathetic, it's grand, it's everything. And that's what we try to, that's the complexity of analysis.